her.
She's very shy. She knows how to speak in English, but she is not used to.
I want to hear Jessica's voice. I never saw her.
Yeah. Souza. Say hi.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Jessica.
Hello, Jessica. So you're a mystery.
Yeah, she's a mysterious lady.
No, I'm not a mystery. I
So we are live on YouTube from now on.
Okay.
So Paula, take it away.
Okay.
Okay. So guys, today we will talk about the differences with the relationships, with dealing with the different, hello Annie, with the differences in relationships. So the first thing, so everybody shows up. Okay. Hello. And what I want to know first, it is what do you know about it? You know, what's the experience that you have? And if you feel comfortable about these differences in your relationships, or if you feel like more you struggle, you know, doing that. It doesn't matter if it is about love or if it is about family or if it is about friends. Everything is about love in the end. But do you more struggle or more have an okay relationship with the differences?
Hello, Anne. Hello, Paula. So I have a very strong opinion about this because I feel that the world is becoming more and more, how can I say, polarized, right? So we live like in a time that there are two extremes, and that's in all areas like politics, you know, opinions, and it's becoming harder and harder for people to accept each other's opinions, right, about many things. And some of these things, some of these topics, they are becoming even taboos, you know. So people can't have different opinion about it because you are accused of being something like evil, and then you get canceled over the internet, and then we can't have a discussion about it. And most people, they can't just say, okay, I have a different opinion from you, but I respect your opinion, and I'm going to live with that reality, right? And we are going to still be friends. But that's not what happens, you know. Many people, they don't want to live with people who have different feelings and opinions. And I think the technology, especially social media, contributes a lot to that because if you don't know, the algorithm on those social medias, they analyze what you like, right? And they show you only what you like. So you live inside that bubble, right?
Yeah.
And then you don't get in contact with other people's opinion, and you think that the world is like this, everybody's like you, right? So when reality knocks on your door, you don't know how to react, you don't know how to deal with different people, different opinions, different ways of life, and that's quite dangerous, you know. I think that's very dangerous. So I have some friends with whom I can talk about different things, and I can disagree, and I think it's awesome. But some people, most people, I just don't even discuss these subjects because I know that it's going to be a probably a deal breaker in our friendship, you know. Uh, that's my fear. I'm afraid of a place, a world that you cannot speak our minds, right? That you cannot say our opinions because people want you to be the same all the time and to fit inside a box, right?
Yes. It make a lot of sense. Have about that. One of the things that we will learn today, I hope, it is that differences. When I say something like dealing with the differences in relationship, we hear that thinking that the differences are terrible. You know, the differences are the problem. You know, so we need to deal with it because it sucks. You know, but not necessarily. By the way, not just not necessarily, but differences are amazing. And then we we'll discuss here some things to maybe go to that direction, to understand how differences can be amazing in our relationships, you know. And Vanessa, can you talk about it? What your what you know about that subject, about that topic of the differences? You know a lot, by the way. Not necessarily you work with this in a better way, maybe in a good enough way for you, you know. But I'm saying that you deal a lot with the differences because you have a relationship with someone who live in a different country, who has a different culture and all that stuff. So how you deal with that?
So, well, that's one of the reasons why I chose this topic. When Gustavo was telling that we would have lives, and I started to think about like who we would invite, what we would talk about. And I remember once I saw on your Instagram, your I was following your stories, and you're talking about dealing with difference in relationships. And I found something really interesting that you said, because at the moment I was exactly like with a lot of problems, like thinking so much about my relationship with my boyfriend, because not just about culture, I was thinking about that we are like two so different people. We are two different people, and we don't like to do the same stuff. So sometimes we struggle a lot about that because now we are not in the same place, so we're not doing things together anymore. And sometimes we try to find something to do together, like play games, and I'm not a gamer and he is, trying to watch movies together, and it's really hard to find a movie that we both like. And I was like really worried about that. I was really concerning about that. And I remember you said something really nice, like, okay, like you, as a couple, you guys can like something like different things. You guys can learn how to participate sometimes of some activities with your partner, but you guys can also like do different things. Like you can have your life, your partner can have his life, but the most important thing is that you have to understand like how are these differences. Like it is important to check if you guys have the same plans, because when you have different plans, then it is hard. I remember you said something like this, not maybe not exactly with these words, but yes, you said that, and I found really interesting. I was, oh, and like I see we are really trying to build plans together. Like he's really like, I have my plans and he's really up to join my plans. He's always saying like, no, I don't want to leave my country as well. If you want to move somewhere else, I'll do with you. I'm just more clear about that. I have like I have settled my goals very well, and he's like, just join me. And I was worried about that, because I was thinking, is he going to be happy? Is it my goal, or it is his goal? And one day we spoke about that, and he said, no, I'll be happy with that. I just don't have like that so clear as you, but I'll be happy.
Yes, very nice. You said something very good, Vanessa. You said that I said something like, you can have your own life. And I would like to emphasize, you need to have your own life. You know, this is one of the things about relationships that sometimes we struggle a lot because we start acting like one. This is a phrase that we used to use, you know, we used to say something like, after to be together, after to get married, for example. So you were two and now you are one. And I think this is so beautiful. This is so poetical, and it's really beautiful, but it doesn't work in the practice completely. You know, it can't work in the practice completely. You can't do that. You can't turn into one person, you know, with your partner, because you will ruin the relationship. You know, the relationship will probably disrupt it because of that. Because it's very important that you keep being true and clearly true. You know, you are different than I am. And I make sure you understand that every day, you know, because I have my life, because I have my own activities, because I have my own friends, because I have my family, which can be your family as well, but not as well exactly, you know, it's my family. And I have as I say, the activities that I love to do. And it doesn't need to be exactly the activities that you love to do, you know, and we don't need to do together all the time. So this is pretty much important. One of the reasons why this is important, it is because you need some respect. And we used to respect people who had their lives, you know. This is pretty much important. When we relate ourselves with someone who lives our lives, we can see that, we can capture that, and we don't use to respect this person, you know. So it is pretty much important for our health in first step, obviously. We invest in our different areas. So this is why I love to talk about our different 8 areas, general areas, you know. We have knowledge, we have work, we have family, we have friends, we have social activities to help different people. We have spirituality, we have self-care, we have a relationship, just as one area, you know. We have here 8 areas. Relationship is just one, you know. Family is just one, friendship is just one. So you need to keep investing in those different areas, so you will probably have clear in all your kinds of relationships that you have your own life, and the other person will need to respect that, we need to understand that, and need to like that. This is what we will understand with during our conversation. So after I hear any, which I would like to hear, which I would like to do, to hear how any deal with differences in her relationship, if this is something that she feels like I'm okay with it, or if there is something that you struggle doing that. Before of that, I would like to talk about another thing that Vanessa made me remember, which is about the difference of comparability versus similarity. We struggle sometimes with these two things. Compatibility, it's different of similarity. Sometimes in our relationships, we expect similarity, but the only thing that we need, it is compatibility, you know. We don't need to be the same of the other, because too much sameness can be boring, you know, can be very, very boring. And you don't need that. You just need compatibility. You just need that the other person you said a very good word, Vanessa, which it has to do with plans, it has to do with the purpose, you know. So you are going into the same direction. You can go through different ways, you know, different paths, but you go to the same direction, you know. The other person, it's very hard when you are walking through one journey and the person is walking in another direction, you know. You are working, doing everything in your life to live in a specific country, and the person is doing everything to keep in the same country, for example. It's very hard to make this work, you know. It's very hard to in a long term, you know. But if you have a sameness in these projects, you know, even if it is for different ways, this is good. You know, you wanted to build a family, for example, the other person wants to do that as well, wants to build a family or not. You know, these is things that you need to consider, but not necessarily we need to have similarity, because if we probably will get boring, you know. So this makes sense for you guys, what I just said?
Yes, it's like I think nobody would like to date themselves, you know, to to date a person exactly like yourself. And
That's what
I was thinking about,
Matt told me once.
yeah, I
Exactly
was
these
thinking
words.
about, sorry?
Matt once told me exactly the same words.
Yeah. So I was thinking about an analogy,
Who
right?
doesn't like to be
Because
with
everything in
yourself?
life has to have this balance. So, for example, a couple that likes to eat chicken, right? Okay, they both like to eat chicken, so there's something that they are compatible, right? But one of the people in the couple likes the chicken leg, and the other one likes the chicken wing. So they are a perfect match because they can both enjoy the chicken in a different way, and they're both happy about it. So
Yes.
it's like an analogy that at the same time they like the same thing, but they don't at the same time, you know. So they have their separate lives, their separate activities, and at the same time they complement each other, right? So I think
Yeah.
that's the best relationship that one can hope to have, right?
Yes. You're talking about food, and we have couples that one of the people is vegetarian and the other is not. So how can this work? You know, it can work. You know, so this is the difference between compatibility and similarity. You know, we can be different, but we can. For this is about to choose the difference between each person, because one person will not able to have a relationship with someone who is not vegetarian. You know, this is about philosophy, this is about deep things of my life. You know, some person can say something like that, and to other person it will not be like that. You know, the person will think more like this is my decision, just my decision, and I can have a relationship with someone who don't think exactly like me, you know, about that topic and about the different topics as well, you know. And you need to know yourself. This is one of the things that we will talk about later, I hope, if we have time. So Annie, are you there?
Um, yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
So I asked you before, I don't know if you heard, but I asked you about how you deal with this, how you deal with the differences in relationships, more in terms of if this is easy to you or if there is something that you struggle with.
Yeah. Well, it's easy for me, and I actually think that it is very constructive, and when you are in a relationship with someone who has ideas, different ideas from you, and that can help you also. And one of my best friends is totally different from me because he's an atheist and I'm a Catholic person, and he is a homosexual and I'm straight, and he likes metallic rock and I like MPB. There are many
Yeah.
differences between us, and but you are we are connected, uh, although this difference, and this is very constructive to me, and I learn a lot with him, and there is much more respect between us, and I think that it is an important thing, the respect between the two in the relationship. I think if if there is respect, it could work, you know.
Nice. It sounds like what Annie does and what your friend does as well. It is exactly what Haf was talking about first, wasn't? You were talking about just that. You know, people who are different, but they don't put themselves on a bubble, as you said, and they just respect the differences and learn how to relate, right?
Yes, and something that's very interesting is that we have an expression in English that's deal breaker. So when something is a deal breaker, it's something that you cannot move on. right? You cannot accept. And there are differences that I believe they can be deal breakers, okay? Both to friendships or to like amorous relationships like love, right? But most of them are not. Most of them you just have to accept and talk it over and understand that they have like different views. But problem is that most people they just can't deal with those things. They want to force you or force other people to have the same opinion. So I've seen both. For example, you talk about food, right? I recently met a guy who is vegetarian, and I was talking to him about food, and I was trying to understand his decision of being vegetarian, and he told me that I was very, very polite and very interesting in his point of view. Whereas most people just say that he's wrong, and they just okay, you should eat meat because meat has all the nutrients that your body needs. Or sometimes it's the other way around, like vegetarians say, oh, but you cannot eat meat because it's murder, and I don't know, and and they try to convince each other with such passion that you have to have the same opinion. But you don't, you can be happy even together if you have like major different opinions, right? But I do believe, and I'm curious about what you guys think the deal breakers could be. Like, is there something that's so different that you could say, I would never marry a person that does that or believes in that or acts like this? So Vanessa knows that my deal breaker is about science, right? I would
It's
never date a
non-negotiable,
guy
right?
who believes in science, in zodiac signs. you know,
But you love me. Anyway, you love me. Even I like
yeah,
sadness. And
right.
even I'm
But
bullying you about that.
I would never be your boyfriend. That's the only reason.
But you're my friend now.
That's a really good question, Hef. Maybe later, no. I want to hear from the guys. Hello, guys, Diego and Mertican. Sorry if I didn't say your name right. If you can
Hello.
show up and talk, feel free to do that. I would like to hear you maybe about this question that have just made, which is about if you have something that you couldn't accept about having a relationship with someone, for example. But first, I would like to talk about another thing, which has to do with that things that we used to hear about opposites, the fact that opposites attract. Used to hear this phrase, and opposites attract, but sometimes drive us crazy. That's the truth. Sometimes the opposite drives us completely crazy because of the religious things, about the ethnic things, about the cultural things, and we struggle a lot with that. And this is something that we need to understand to have this clear. No matter who you are, no matter who I am, no matter who you are with too as well, you will run into some conflict. It doesn't matter. We will always have this problem. Because of holidays, I wrote down some examples to give to you remember of that. If you have a relationship, you will remember situations that you live it with each kind of these conflicts, which is about holidays, where we go, and which place we will know, which will the places that we will know. So holidays, money, sex, some ways, sometimes this can be something that you have conflict about, food stuff, family stuff, friends stuff, problems around this. And I'm not saying that we all should have this kind of problems in our relationships, because sometimes this is about something that we couldn't accept. For example, friends, we shouldn't accept our partner criticizing, for example, our friends, saying that they are not good enough, or don't letting us go out with them, letting, So these unfortunately are things that happens in a lot of relationships. And this is why I said before, you remember that I was talking about how we know ourselves and how we need to respect the differences areas of our lives, because this is what will have to us the condition to look to the other and say, whoa, that area is not your business. It's not your business. And of course you can make comments, but this is my decision, about the clothes that I dress, the place that I go, the friends that I have, about my family, about your family. And of course, you can talk about it. You can make give another perspective to the person who you have a relationship with, but you need to understand that this is something that you need to respect about the other person. But anyway, we will have conflicts about this kind of things. All right. This is something that we just need to understand, just to accept. We will have conflicts, and we will need to learn how to deal with this. And this is why I brought to you, I bring here with some tips, some kind of tips to deal in a better way in this kind of situation, right? Maybe it will make sense for you guys. So, Mexican, I said your name right. Are you there?
Not actually. It's Matt Jan.
Merton.
Jan. Yeah.
Merton, right?
Yep. Yeah. Right now is all right.
Okay, sorry about before, Merton. So do
That's
you want to
right.
talk about some topic that you heard before, something that we said that called your attention?
Yeah. I was just saying. I was just thinking like. I'm not the guy who has a strong decisions about those kind of things. Like I never said I don't want to have those kind of people around me. But whenever you are saying like criticizing someone as your close friend or something like this from your partner, I don't like that as well. Like I don't want to hear criticizing from my partner against my family. This is like
Yeah.
which I am like sensitive from. And yeah, like this can be my sensitive part. Like I don't want to be with the person who is criticizing my family. And also I don't want my family to criticize the person who I am with as well. Like this is the same side in my mind. Yeah.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense. And Diego, are you there? Are you hearing
I'm
us?
here.
Hello,
Just,
how are
just,
you?
just if you say like the English accent, Diego, say it again.
Diego, sorry, Diego. So we have a lot of Diegos in Brazil,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
sorry about that, but you're Diego, right?
So yeah, talking about relationship, I've learned a lot because uh, it is this idea that you have mentioned that you need to respect the the thoughts of the other. You need to understand that they have a limit. Like you can have your opinions, you can have your own decisions, but you can force them to make you like be the owner of the relation. Like you are not the star there. Like this is the point.
Yes.
Yeah. And you this idea of respect the limit, it is the point that I've learned a lot so far.
Yes, nice. You said something nice, Diego. It was about having a star in a relationship. Sometimes we have stars in relationships, so we need to be careful about not being us the star of the relationship. The other person doesn't matter what you want, just matter what I want and how I want things being done, and we need to be careful about that. And you said a word that it's really, really important when you talk about relationships, which is limits. We need to know our limits first. This is about self-knowledge. So what it is important to you, what it is a limit for you. A limit for me, not necessarily it is a limit for any, for Vanessa, it's not. For Jessica, it's not necessarily. So each of us needs to know our limits. So then you can teach the other person what are your limits, but we will talk a bit more about it later. Okay, so one of the tips that I want to give to you, before I hear you more, guys, it is about how to criticize. Because we will criticize the other person that we are in a relationship, it's just normal, you do that, but you need to know how to do that, how to do that. So criticize the specific behavior, right? If you want to write down this, it would be cool. Criticize the specific behavior, not the person, not the partner, not the personality, So you are like that. Don't do that. Don't look to half and say half, you do that, and you are criticizing the person. So try criticize the behavior, the behavior. This is a very, very basic principle, the behavior is what you want to be changed. That thing that bother you, that thing that you definitely don't like, then you can talk to the other person and talk about health. You're amazing, but that thing that you do, that word that you said, that occasion that we were there and you said or you did that, I don't like, I didn't like this so much, Can you stop doing that? Another thing that I suggest to you, it is to give the solution. This is something that I always say, guys. I always say, I'm a psychologist, by the way. I don't know if all of you know about that. And I work especially with relationships. And I say that to my clients, when you give a problem, give a solution as well, So don't look to the other person and say something wrong, I don't like when you do that, and that's it. Bye-bye. No, don't do that. Look to the other person and say, have sorry if I'm using your name very much. But you can say, I didn't like what you did yesterday, this specific thing, and I would prefer if you do that thing instead, So it would be very nice if you do that instead of this that you did, Make sense for you guys?
Yes.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, completely.
Yes, maybe we would avoid a lot of bad situations doing that, So criticize the specific behavior. Don't criticize not the person, not the person, not the personality, but the behavior that you want to be changed. All right. So another thing, it is avoid saying always or never. Avoid those words, avoid those words. Avoid saying things like, you always do that. You never do that. This is an expression that if you can avoid it. All right. You can say, this time, this situation, on that situation, you did that. It's better than you look to the other person and say, you always act like that. This is terrible. This is terrible. And sometimes we use this word as, let me think, how can I express that? We are trying to emphasize, so you always do that. But when you say that, probably it's not true. The person don't do that always. So when you hear something like that, you feel like a shit. That's the truth. You feel like, my God, I do a lot of good things. I did differently of that many times. And because of one time, because of two times that I did this, the person is looking at me and saying that I always do that or I never do something. You know, this is very terrible. So one thing I suggest, it is specific concerns are, this is a phrase actually, specific concerns are easier to address and to change. So it's better to the other person to hear like that. And you have another benefit that specific concerns, when you do a concern in a specific way, it's easier to address, you know, and it's easier to change. The person will probably change about it, will have more probability to change about it because you are not summarizing the person on that behavior, you know. Makes sense for you too, guys?
Yes.
A lot of sense.
Okay, so I would like to ask if you remember a situation when you did completely different of that, or if you used to do that, if you already use this kind of tips about relationships. You used to do that, or you are learning something new here? Anybody can say.
Well, I have done both, and sometimes I criticize, and then after I regret about that, and I apologize. But sometimes I also do like you said, like sometimes I like to say my sister saying I always criticize. Oh my God. Anyway, but but no, Jessica, you know me. I know how to also say like, oh, you do very well about that, but maybe you should try to do that. Sometimes I do that as well. Oh my God. You're not
Yes,
coming
by the
anymore.
way, Vanessa, this is another tip. This is another tip. When you are going to give a criticize to the other person, you can start saying something good about the other person, something that you
Yes.
like about the other person, or saying how you are amazing. You are amazing. You do that very in a very good way. And maybe if you do like that, it would be even better, you know, saying like that, you know.
Yeah.
So it's something that works as well.
I learned that like on human resource when I was working, and
Yeah.
I really try to apply on my daily life as much as I can.
I got
No,
it. It's
it's
hard.
a
It's hard to
problem.
do that. So Raf.
Yeah, about criticism, it's also a problem when you can associate that person with criticism. And it's so second nature for the person to criticize everything and everybody that you end up having like a very contrary emotion just by the sight of that person, or by the sound of that person. You know, sometimes I used to think not about relationships like girlfriend or boyfriend, but in my family, for example, there are some people who we already know the reaction, and we say, okay, let's not do this in front of this person because he or she always reacts badly. He or she always judges us and always criticizes us. You know, so we kind of create mechanisms to hide, to do it behind their backs, and you end up living a false life, you know, a fake life, and it's so bad when you cannot open up to your siblings, to your parents, to the loved ones, your loved ones, you know, um, and it's so bad because you feel so bad because you criticize all the time, like, and even when the person doesn't say it, the person has like that look on their faces, you know, and a reproval look. So you end up not expressing yourself, not being yourself because of that. So I wouldn't mind not only the way that I criticize somebody, but when, you know, sometimes it's just not worth it to criticize at that moment. You know, I just did something very like that with Gustavo because Gustavo corrected something about the banner for today's meeting was the wrong date, and I didn't realize that I was in the community, and I corrected him like in the community, and I immediately I erased my messages, and I thought, my God, it should be embarrassing, could be embarrassing for him because I was just correcting in front of everybody, so right. So there's a time, there's a place for criticizing, even if you have like good intentions, even if you have good intentions, it's not always the smartest move for you to criticize or to correct somebody at that moment in time,
It's truth. Annie, do you want to talk something? Do you want to say something?
Yeah. I'm the contrary. I struggle with criticizing someone, I moved here recently, at the beginning of the year, and I'm living with other 3 friends. And at the beginning, it was too hard to me to, criticize some attitudes and it was necessary, I think. But I struggle with that because we don't have this, I don't know, I wasn't
Intimacy.
comfortable
You
to
don't
say that.
feel like you're
Yeah,
close enough to say that.
yes, exactly. And then when happens something that really I was really angry at, and so I said, and that solved the problem, so it can be a good thing. And yeah, I think it's important too, but depend on the situation, depend on the relationship.
Yes, it makes sense. Uh, totally truth. The fact that we need to know when to do things. Many times in life we will have to have this ability, right, to know exactly when to do any specific thing. So this is something that in any just added the information of how close you are of the person. And when you are very close, sometimes you have the opportunity, if you put yourself in a position of learning, all right, not everybody does that. You said you gave an example of that. You said about family and people who sometimes almost never make you feel comfortable to say your thinking and speak your mind, right? But sometimes when we know more, some people, we start learning where it is better, when it is better, how it is better. And this is something that we need to be sensible, to pay attention to the other person, to understand. Some people will act differently. And you can't see people as, it's a big rule and you do always the same thing and always will work. Definitely, it's not like that. So Annie, you're talking about exactly that. You didn't feel comfortable to criticize someone because or some people because you weren't close enough. And this, in some perspective, it has to do with self-knowledge as well. It seems to be about the others, but sometimes it is in first place about ourselves, about we learning about our limits. Sometimes we accept more things than we should because we just don't pay attention enough to us, to how much this is bothering us. And it is very good we understand that we need to pay attention to ourselves, to realize, my God, this is bothering me very much, and I can't accept that. And it's normal. It's, as I said before, the phrase, no matter who you are with, you will run into some conflict. That is a big truth, So no matter who you are with, who you are having a relationship with, if it is about love or friendship, it doesn't matter. You will have some conflict. And we will need to learn the abilities to to say what it is bothering us, what we don't like, and this is fundamental to the relationship succeed. You know, if we don't do that, we don't give to the other the opportunity to offer to the relation what it's necessary. And this is something that sometimes we forget. We forget that to have a relationship, it doesn't matter which one is. When we have a relationship with someone, it is very nice, very good if you give to the other the opportunity to change, you know. And if you don't give some feedbacks to the other person, or if you don't say what it is bothering you about the other person, you don't give the other person the chance to change and to make your relationship succeed. You know, a lot of people do that, guys. A lot of people wait for 8 months to say something, to break up, just to look to the other person, I can't handle anymore, but you didn't say to the other person. So you didn't give the opportunity to the other person to change, right? So this is pretty much important. Someone wants to say something?
Well, sometimes people respond with being passive aggressive. Do you know this term, guys? In English, passive aggressive. People, instead of complaining and making it clear what you don't like about someone else's behavior, they just start getting like moody and cranky, and they they act like a child.
Like, oh, some people do that. Like, close
yeah, they
to
imply
like,
something, like, right? And that's very bad, for relationships, because I think that being able to talk, to have a conversation, an honest conversation, is key. You cannot have a relationship without this ability.
Yes. And you said a perfect word, have you talking about ability. And sometimes when we talk about relationships, we act like relationships and the things that you do in the relationship, it is something that you born it with, or you will never learn, you will never change, and this is something that can be changed if the other person it is available to learn. If you're talking about things that we can't handle. One of the things that I couldn't handle anyway, it would be to be in a relationship with someone who aren't available to change, to learn. This is the worst thing ever, So this someone can act like that, like you said, in an infantile way, in a child way, and you can talk to the other person. You can give examples, you can suggest things, and if the other person is able to learn, the other person can change, okay? Can change. So sometimes we're not. And one of the things that you need to know, it is how to say bye-bye to some people. So when you say this kind of behavior, sometimes after you say 1, 2, 3 times, you just needed to get out of that situation, right?
Let the person go, right?
Yes, let the other person go. It's not you, it's me. Don't do that, guys. Don't do that. It's you. Say it's you. Bye-bye. So another tip that I would give to you today, guys, is about to offer your help to get things you want to be done. No, it's not just about things that you want to be done. If you think it's just a different perspective. If you want the person chance, so you want something to be done. You want something happens that it's not happening, and you can offer your help, but pay attention on the word offer. You can't impose, you can't inflict your opinion or your help to another person, because in this case it's not help, uh, at some perspective, you know. And when we are talking about relationships, you need offer. You can, and sometimes you need offer, but just offer, you know. So if the person it is struggling with something, you know, like getting late all the time to her or him commitment, um, like organizing themselves, like making some food, like you know, learning how to deal with some situations with their families, you know, examples like that. You can see that, and you can offer your help, you know, especially when you have disability. You know, I have disability, I can help you. Do you want some help? Would you like that I do something specific for you? I could help you doing that. Do you want? You know? So this is something that we sometimes make in a very wrong way. We sometimes try to impose things to the other person, and this is definitely not good. And sometimes we just criticize, but we don't offer any help. So if you are repeatedly criticizing the other person for something that you don't like, that you want to be changed, think about if you gave a solution and if you offered your help, you know, or if you just said change, you know, change, take this and change. A relationship, it's about that, you know, it's about people helping each other in some perspective, offering things, receiving things. So giving your help can be very useful, of course, but remember, just offer, just offer. If the other person doesn't show to you that they really want your help, if they don't go to you, they don't ask to you, they don't say, hey, you said that you would help me with that, you said that we would start at Monday, it's Monday right now, so let's start. If you don't see this on the other person, if you don't see that behavior on the other person, so don't force, you know, don't impose, don't you know, you understand. So everything you can do it as offer, right? And make what you said that you could do before, of course, if the other person accepts, of course, right? It makes sense for you guys?
Yeah, it happens that it's always the other person's decision, right? To change or not.
Yes, it's always the other person decision, always the other person decision. And if the other person doesn't want to change, you need to respect that. And you need to see if you can deal with that, you know? So I said, and the person doesn't change. All right, so you need to change, right?
Yeah. And it's funny how we usually have uh, two ways to see the world when it's from our perspective and the other's perspective. So sometimes we do the same mistakes, we make the same mistakes, and we do the same things that we criticize so much on the other, and then we do it, and for us it's okay, you know. We do the same transgressions. We say, well, no, but I had this excuse, I had that excuse. So in my case, it was not like this. And then the minute that the other person does something that was exactly the same thing, you say, oh, but you're such a terrible person. You did that. You know how considerate you are, and we don't forgive, right? We don't put ourselves in someone else's shoes most of the time. And when I say we, I mean we because I do it all the time too. You know, and sometimes I try to stop it and just think, am I being fair to this person? Am I being, if I was the one doing that, would I want to receive another treatment? Would I want to receive a second chance or something like this? And many people don't think about it, you know?
Yes. When you talk like that, I remember about the word competition. Some people are in their relationships and they act like they are in a competition, you know. And I used to say that a relationship, it doesn't matter which kind it is more like a team, you know. You are both of you want to make some goals, you know, want to do some realizations together. When you have a problem in your relationship, both of you have a problem, the relationship have a problem. So your goal, it is to make this go away. Your work, it is to make to be over of this, you know, and to deal with the situation. And this make me to remember about co-responsibility as well. I always talk about the co-responsibility when I talk about relationship. This half, it is someone who doesn't understand that everything that happens in a relationship, it is her or his responsibility as well, you know. I know sometimes it's very hard to think like that, and I know that sometimes we feel like, no, this is not my responsibility. But when I talk about responsibility, I'm not talking about fault, you know. It's not interesting to search for who is fault for something, you know. Who it was the person who made that situation. It's not like that. It's responsibility, you know. What did you do that I could act differently, and we would have another result, you know. So sometimes a relationship they disrupt double standards.
Yeah, sorry. Double standard is the way I explained. When you have like two different attitudes towards the same thing, but for you it's like it's acceptable, but for other people it's not. So it's called double standards.
Nice, nice, very nice. So I was talking about co-responsibility and about how sometimes we don't. I was talking about a relationship that breaks up, that ends, and sometimes the other person puts the responsibility, all the fault in another person, in the other person, and says, you know, the other person that was not doing that was not doing this. In the start, this person acted like that, and with the time it changed. But sometimes the relationship late for 4 years, 3 years, you know, survived for 3 years, for example, and the other person, the person that is complaining, just did nothing. You know, it was an elephant in the room. You know, it was this thing there. The problem was there, and the person was just living. You know, look to the other person every day and living another day. But a lot of problems, it was there. It were there, and the person was acting like they weren't there. You know, so you are responsible as well if you do something like that. So if something is happening and you know that if you act differently, the solution will come. And I'm talking about a real solution, right? I'm not saying that you need to pardon all the time, that you need to accept everything. So the solution will come. No, I'm not talking about this. This is why we need to know our limits, right? Our limits. This is a limit for me. So you teach to the other person that this is important for you, that you will not accept some things. And if this happens, okay, it's not possible to deal with this situation for you, you know, but I'm talking about things that you can deal with and you can act differently and you can look to the other person and talk and try to get into a solution, right? So you are responsible as well. And when you are doing something wrong and the person is saying that to you, you need to think about the relation, not just about yourself, you know. So how we can deal with this, so how you can help me to deal with this, you know, this is how it works. So when people act like that, Ref, they are being selfish. You know, they aren't looking to a relationship how they probably should, you know, and this is another ability that we can learn. This is another ability that we can learn. So the seventh thing that I would like to say to you guys, it has to do with that, about self-knowledge, about limit, your limit, which is you need to know yourself to teach the other what do you want and what it is important for you. Sometimes we expect a lot for the other people, and we do this very, actually we do that too much, you know. And when we do that, we are almost making the relationship don't have the opportunity to succeed, as I said before. If you understand that you are the responsible to teach to the other person how you want to be treated, so now you can have the chance to succeed, right? And when I say succeed, I'm not saying just survive. I'm talking about being happy in your relationship. You know, this is succeed. So first you need to know yourself. Of course, this is a process that never ends. We will always learn more about ourselves because we always change. But when you know some things about yourself, you are the responsible. I always say something like, you are the teacher of how people will treat you. So you are the teacher. You need to teach the other people, hey, you said something like that, you did something like that. And this is not, I don't think this is good, and I would prefer you act like that. I'm not talking about everything, please. I'm not talking about everything, because some people just want to change the other person, and this is the last thing that we will talk about later. But I'm talking about things that really are important for you. And this is what I'm talking about, to know yourself. One of the things that it is a way, let's say like that, a way of know yourself better, it is to pay attention in what it is important to you. And I'm not saying what you think it is important in that moment, or you know, you are not good at that day, and you need to understand what it is really important, you know, really important. Then you teach to the other person, this is really important to me. Okay, so this again, for me, something that it is important, it's not the same thing that it is important to Annie. So this kind of joke, please don't do that. But for Annie, it's okay. Maybe because I have some different history, of course, maybe because it is something that I'm still dealing with. So you need to learn what it is important to you. Then you explain to the other person, you teach the other person. What we used to do, we just you know, we are in a relationship and the other person don't respect what it is important for us, and we just get mad. You know, we just get mad. You shouldn't do that. We criticize the other person, but we never realize that we are the responsible to teach this to the other person, and we are the responsible to teach to the other person the things that we do not accept. You know, so sometimes we screw a lot doing that, and we expect the other person, you know, have a menu about us, have a book that teaches about the rules of how we work. And we know that this is something that we do not have. So the other person will not have as well. Why, right? It makes sense for you guys about knowing yourself first, about learning what it is important for you. So Diego, are you there? What do you think about it? If you want to talk.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm just listening to you. Yeah, it is one thing that I like to associate that you mentioned, that it is the non-communication, the non-violent communication. First, like it is the steps that you have mentioned. So first, you just like acknowledge for the person that you have something, you have a feeling, like you say, oh, I'm upset, I'm sad, I'm angry. And then after this, you mention what the behavior, as you said, because you did something like that. And after all, you need to give like, why not you try to do something different in another opportunity? That's the solution you mentioned. It is the non-violent communication. It is one thing very good to be accurate, to be like
Assertive. I don't know, the English professor teachers here can say that. Assertive, it is a word.
I think it is. It is. It is.
Yes, this is the opposite of being violent, right?
Yeah,
A
correct.
violent communication, which it is an amazing expression. The opposite of that, it is being assertive, right? Not aggressive and not too much. I accept everything, but you are assertive. You say what you need to say in a clear way, in a kind way, but in a focused way. You have, yes, assertive. Yes.
But as you always mention, the idea of you and Annie, like people are different, and it is real one ability. It is the same way as in English, as we are talking here. Yes, we need to talk, we need to practice this ability of to be not to use the correct way of the assertive way. So it is a practical thing, and that's it.
Right. Nice. It's that. We really need to learn what it is important to us, and we need to give the other the opportunity to learn about us. When you were talking, Diego, I was remembering I just remember about my boyfriend when I am crying, because I used to cry, not a lot, but I used the cry to there's stress, when I'm not so, when I with a lot of things, so I let me cry. Sometimes I'm feeling like I want to cry, so I cry. That's it. And sometimes he sees me crying, and he gets he worry about that, so I need to look at him and say, no, everything is all right, but I'm just crying, so some people, when they cry, they have a big problem there, but I, for example, am not that person. I learned how to use the possibility to cry to calm me down, just to let it be, I'm not so good, I'm not feeling so good right now, so I will cry, and that's okay. So I take a breath, and that's right. Sometimes I cry of happiness, I'm happy and I'm crying. Sometimes I recently we were in Curitiba, and we traveled to there, and which is in Brazil, by the way. And we were going to the airport, and I was looking outside of the car, and I was crying, looking to the places, but it was not about sadness. I wasn't sad. It was about thinking in deep things and thinking about how life is. I'm that kind of person, So this is an example of something that you need to teach the other person. You need to teach the other person, sometimes I cry. Sometimes I like to cry to just let it go, the some sadness or some happiness, and that's okay. So this is the kind of example that we need to first to learn about how we work, and then we teach the other person how we work, and even this is something very important, because sometimes because I teach people, I used to teach people how to feel more confident and how to act more confidently in their relationships, for example. And one of the things that I used to say it is that you can communicate that you don't know what to do. This is confidence as well. you know. Sometimes we feel insecure about saying to the other person, you know, I don't know what to do. I don't know exactly what to eat. I don't know exactly where I want to go. I don't know exactly what I want to do. I don't know exactly what to do in that moment of my life. And I always say you need confidence even to say that, you know, especially to say that. So you can look to the other person and say, baby, one thing that I really don't know, that I really know, it is that I don't know what to do right now. You know, so that's not a problem. That's definitely not a problem, you know. Makes sense for you guys?
Yes, it makes sense.
It is very important, you know. Maybe you should talk about that on your Instagram as well, about crying, you know, because when we don't understand what you feel, what we are feeling, we rely on physiological responses, you know, like, oh, since I'm crying, I must be sad. So
Yes.
if someone asks what I'm feeling, I'll tell them I'm sad. When I'm not really, I'm just letting off some steam. And what you said about you knowing yourself first, so you can teach someone else to know you, is very important, right? Because if you don't know that, then you're gonna tell the other person that you are sad, and then you're not, and then they're gonna treat you as if you were sad, and then you'll feel sad after that. So it's self-knowledge and understanding of yourself is very important.
Yes. I used to say that we shouldn't. This is completely against probably everything you heard before, because we used to like to hear people saying good things about us that we suppose we don't know, you know. And I used to say you shouldn't think that this is a good thing. You shouldn't hear people saying good things about you that you don't know, you know. You should think that this is a problem, because this means that you don't know yourself. And of course, we always can hear some different perspective of us, of a good thing about us or a new thing. It's okay, but not all the time, not everything, and not uh, very important things about you. You know, like someone can look at me and say, Paula, it's amazing the way that you communicate to yourself. And I look to the other person and say, is it? Right? I never realized that, you know. Oh, thank you. I never realized that. So you don't know yourself. And it's so much more difficult. You have a relationship with someone with you do not have the basic information about yourself, you know. So this is something that it's very difficult for our society, because we have this we have this problem about recognizing that we are good. You know, we are good. Oh, yes, thank you. I knew about that. Yes, thank you. I'm working about that. I'm working on it. And thank you for recognize that. Yes, I'm very good on that. Yes, I like that too about me. This is something that we don't accept very good. You know, we used to accept it more like something, oh, no, not true, not true. You are. I'm not like that. You know, so we teach people how don't know themselves, and how to teach how to lie in our face about they don't be good, you know. So this is an ability as well that it is good that we learn, you know. Learn the good things about yourself, accept the things, saying that to you with a smile in your face, and recognizing that, you know, I'm good. Thank you very much. Yes, that's right. Thank you very much. And other ways to say the same thing. You know, when we start doing that, we will learn more about ourselves. And I'm talking about bad things as well, right? You know, about bad things as well. The things that we don't like, we should be able to look to the other person. Yes, I'm not good doing that, you know. I'm very good doing that, but I'm terrible doing that thing, you know. This is what I do. I say I know a lot about the things that I screw up, and a lot of the things that I'm very good at, very, very good at. And I recognize this and I say this to people. And makes sense, Gustavo?
Yes, it does. Makes a lot of sense. Recognizing your abilities.
Yes. So to finish the things that I brought to you guys, it is, remember, something simply can't be changed. Something simply can't be changed. It's simply part of the package of someone who is not the same as you. So some things will come with this package, that it is this person, that it is not you. And this can enrich your life. This can be something very good to you. We grow up when we deal with different situations, with different people. And this is about what I said in first place, about differences being amazing, not terrible. When we have this opportunity to deal with different people, we have the opportunity to enrich our lives. We have the opportunity to maybe, it's like talking, it's like speaking as this is what I would like we all here maybe learn more about, which is the differences. When we say dealing with differences in relationships, we maybe should not just think about dealing in a bad perspective, how to deal with this bad thing. No, it is a good thing, and how to use this, to make this relationship better. Because as I said before, too much sameness can be very boring. Having a relationship with someone who you not see in this person a life, a different life, a different history, different things that this person likes, different relationships that this person has, can be very boring. So we should like to see the other person acting differently than us. And it's important to remember that, because if we were all the same, this would be a very, very, very boring place. Right, guys?
Yeah,
Indeed,
right.
yes. I like this perspective of because we think of dealing with something as a bad thing, indeed. But instead of dealing, maybe we should say living, right? Living with differences in a good way, because they are kind of what keeps us moving, like the differences and the challenges. If everything is the same and we're not challenged by our partners or people we relate to,
Yeah,
not much
that was
to
my
live
bad.
for.
Very good feedback.
Mhm.
No, but I don't think we should change the word dealing. I don't think. Probably we see this word like that in this context because we think that differences are a problem. It's not
Yeah.
just about the word, but it is about us, about how we think, what we think about relationships. And in the other side, the word, it's curious at some perspective. Dealing, it is curious, because we can now learn that maybe a better way to see the situation, it is, like Gustavo said, living with the differences, seeing as a good thing in our relationships. But having this word here to us, it is very good, because now we have the opportunity to think about it, right?
Yeah, it is good because it takes more attention, like makes people more interested.
Yes.
But also, I agree with Gustavo that living is a better way to say.
Yes. So Annie, I think you wanted to say something before.
Yeah, I am just like you. I cried easily. I cry easily, and I'm a very sensitive person, and so I identified by you.
Right. This
Me
can be
too,
good, but
Annie.
we need
Let's cry
to.
together, we three.
Sorry,
Sorry.
Vanessa.
I'm saying me too, and let's cry
Oh,
together, we three.
yeah,
Eating chocolate.
Let's
and
meet
I
to cry. So now
I
it's the
love
time
these
to cry.
characters.
Let's cry. So this can be good, right? This can be good, but there is a limit for this, right? So we need to pay attention on us to see if we aren't crying all the time for all situations. And sometimes we don't need to cry. We need to act. We need to change something. We need to do something about the situation. And sometimes it's just very useful to cry. Especially if you cry and after that you make some change, you realize some things about some situations that maybe you should do better and you really do better. So the cryness, it's not the solution by itself.
I like this
Yeah,
word.
it's just a reaction. Yeah, I used to blame myself a lot for being can I say a crier person, guys? Like to being
A
a
crybaby.
person. Sorry, I didn't get it.
A crybaby.
A crybaby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to blame myself a lot, and I start to have a treatment, like go to therapy and those kind of things, try to learn more about why it was happening, and it has to be with like a biological problem, which I have as well. But I realized it when I stopped blaming myself and I started like paying attention more to my feelings. I got way better.
Very nice. Very nice. This is about knowing yourself. Right, guys? Someone wants to talk something else?
Maybe we can finish now, Paul.
Yes, I think.
Yeah,
So wrap
it
it
was
up.
very good.
Your final
Thank you
message.
so much. Okay, give your final
My
message.
final message. Okay. So my final message is that it's about living with differences in our relationships and learning how to use this in favor, to be a good thing in our relationships, and understanding, comprehending that the differences will always exist, and this is part of being with a different person, which is not you. I'm not with myself. This is something that you can say to yourself sometimes, to remember that I'm not with myself, and this is good. And this is why we have this conflict, and that is okay. And the final message, it is oh my God, not I or you, never, nobody here have born with all the learnings about relationships. We need to learn. We need to learn how to have abilities. You guys said the words like practice, like limits, like plans, things very important that we need to learn about being in a relationship. And this knowledge, it is available to all of us, and we can search for it, and we can put these learnings in our relationships, right?
Very good. So thanks a lot for coming, Paula. It was a great talk. Thank you for everyone who came. This live is on YouTube right now. I'm going to send you the link so you can subscribe to the channel. Like, we have been recording these talks and our conversations as well with guests, so you can live some of our experience, even if you are not a coffee clubber. And yeah, that's it. Bye.
Bye, guys. It was very good to be with you.